Hi, welcome to another episode of Girl with Comic-Con Tattoo. That's me. And Comic-Con 2019, the 50th, is less than 2 weeks away. At the time I am recording this, the full schedule is completely up. They have the exclusives up, and the exclusives only have a couple more days if you're going for something like FUNKO or Hasbro or something that's going to have big old lines. And you have to do a raffle for that. So today I'm going to go over basically working on, or basically the computer and the website and navigating the website and doing things like getting the exclusives, signing in and getting your member ID, which is very important for getting exclusives and merch and stuff like that, and also kind of go over navigating the schedule. Since the schedule's up, the best thing right now is to kind of go through that schedule and start making plans. I know in the next week, all of my friends and I are going to be sitting down, making plans, and scheduling out with everybody. Now, I don't ever recommend Comic-Con being completely scheduled. It never works out being completely scheduled the entire time, but if you have a friend who's going to go to the Supernatural panel and you're going to go to the Supernatural panel, it is very, very worth it to work kind of in tandem with that. And then, and then also letting your friends know that, yeah, between 10 and 11, I'm going to be in a cosplay panel, and so I'm not going to be available. Or I have a volunteer shift, or I have this, or I have that. So that you guys can kind of meet up later, do lunch, schedule time to do D&D, which is one of the things my friends and I always do, is we always go play at least one round with the D&D people, which is a lot of fun. They give you a character sheet so that all you have to do is play your character that they've given you, and you don't have to spend hours and hours building a character. I have seen them let people bring in characters, but typically they do like level 1s or level 2s that they have generated for everybody so that you're all on the same base and you're running through your campaign, which are usually short 1-hour campaigns, 1 or 2 hours. Anyway, fun thing, totally recommend doing that. But we also my friends and I like to schedule things with each other so that we can see each other during con and experience it together. Another thing, and I'll go over this when we start going through the schedule, is there's always a DC animated movie. This year it's Batman. Hush. I'm really looking forward to that. I always go with my best friend and his brother, and my roommate has started to come with us when we do that. Just absolutely love it and enjoy watching it. And usually they're really good. We've had a couple of duds over the years, but overall it is just a good, hour and a half, 2 hours. Usually that's on Friday nights. Anyway, so let's just kind of dive in and take a look at the website and some of the stuff that you need to know about the website and getting ready. By the way, I haven't figured out how to do capture on my computer yet, so I'm going to be using my phone. So I'm sorry if this looks kind of weird. Or if it has that repeater thing. I haven't ever taped my computer. I know that old monitors and old TVs, you would get this repeat thing when you videotape them, which it's really neat. YouTube it. There's a lot of it's kind of an interesting kind of flicker thing that goes on because the way old TVs and monitors and stuff are done, but I'm not sure. I haven't really seen that on newer stuff, so we'll find out when I shoot this in a second. Alright, here we go. Alright, so no flicker, but you do kind of get like a weird patternness to it. But anyway, this is my good laptop. So right here, we're just on the Comic-Con website, comiccon.org. And one of the first things that you can see other than a listing of all Comic-Con and its subsidiaries right up here, including the Comic-Con Museum, and the banner telling you what they've got, like the merch. And you've only got a couple more days to... Oh no, today's the 7th, so you've got like a day left to order that if you're seeing this right now. And then you pick it up at the convention. And then in a second it should flip up. So Toucan Tips. They have a lot of good advice. Batman, which is being inducted into the Comic-Con Hall of Fame, Character Hall of Fame. And video game, this is, I think, really neat that we're getting, that Comic-Con is getting into these multimedias. The Eisner Awards, which are always really super. And then, this, as we're shooting this went up earlier today. And then, oh, it's not showing it. Earlier it was saying that, I had a banner saying that the complete schedule is up, but they may have just redone that to do the one for Sunday. So what I want to focus on right now is, if you don't have it, you really need to get it, which is a member ID. So when you click on the member ID, it takes you over here and you can sign up for a new membership. It is completely free. You don't need to pay anything for it. When you go to buy your tickets, or you go to register comps if you win them from the radio or anything like that, you need a member ID. It basically is your name and your name, your email address, your actual physical address, and basically kind of contact information. And so if you buy your pass through the convention, it will send you a package that comes with a box that has a pin and your badge in it with your RFID and everything. So you're good to go on day one. You can just kind of walk into the convention center. Now, if you volunteer, you do purchase codes, things like that, then you have to physically come to the convention center to pick up your badge. You still get the box and everything, it's just done a little bit differently. But everything is linked to your member ID that you do. And this is, they originally set this up when they started doing, when they started selling out and doing like kind of waiting rooms and things like that to get badges. Because if you already had your member ID with all the information set up, it sped up the process a lot quicker, and there wasn't any possibility of losing your ticket while you were inputting all this information, because all the information was in there. So, and then you have a login where you can log in and do basically everything here. Now, once you sign in, and I'm not going to show you this part, so I'll be back in just a second. Okay, so once you log in, it looks like this, or at least it does for the couple weeks before the convention. These three, or well, these two, the exclusives and the merch, are not typically up there if it's not like right before Comic-Con. But you see, you get your account information, your contact, your registration. If you're a volunteer, you get a volunteer one over here. There's also, this has a bunch of your information, which, no offense, I've blocked out. This will give you, if you're a volunteer, it gives you all your volunteer stats right here. This has like my name, and as you can see, I'm an adult pass holder. And then it gives you information on whatever your thing is. So I've already done an exclusive thing. We're going to go take a look at that. And we'll take that off because I don't need to hide it from you anymore. So this is the portal for the exclusives. As you can see here, this will give you, basically what they do is Bluefin or UCC or, hold on, FUNKO, there's Hasbro, so on and so forth. Ooh, that's fun. Didn't do that last time I was here. Let's make that go, or we can, there we go. So basically whatever they're selling, these are the big ones. So whatever they're doing, you basically come here. If you want one of these, you find a time slot that you want. For example, this one is Thursday at 9:30. You add it to your cart, and then you confirm it, and it goes on to your interested list. I have Hasbro, I only have one slot for Hasbro on here because I have a friend who wanted something that couldn't come, and I said I'd get it for them, but they're waffling on it, so I only signed up for one slot. So if I get it, and I'll tell them, and if they change their mind, I'll go get it for them. If not, nobody's lost anything. So what I really want is the thing from FUNKO. Now, FUNKO and SDCC, as you can see here. And that is, they have a Pez dispenser with the Comic-Con toucan, and they have a FUNKO Pop of the Comic-Con toucan, which I totally want and need. Like, I need water and air to survive. Like, I've got to have that. I'm not a big fan of FUNKO. I only have a handful of ones that I either think are really cute or I'm really kind of crazy for the figures. Like, I have a She-Ra, and my friends for Christmas got me Red from the Pirates of the Caribbean ride because they know I love her. So I got, those are like the only ones I have, and I think I have like one or two others that came in like a loot crate from like 100 years ago. But anyway, so I basically signed up for every time slot that they had, pretty much. And what will happen is when the exclusives portal closes, which I believe is on the 9th of July this year, they will basically put all the names into a virtual bowl, and they will pull out a name and a time slot. So for example, I could end up with Wednesday at 6 p.m. So Wednesday at 6 p.m. I would be expected to go over to the FUNKO SDCC booth and buy my FUNKO figure. Or go over to the Hasbro figure at the time slot I signed up for that and pick that up. Now, my FUNKO and my Hasbro conflict. If I get both of those at the same time, it's actually like a 15 to 30 minute window that you can actually go over to these different booths. So I could, in theory, go over to FUNKO, get my thing, and then head over to Hasbro and pick it up there, or pick up my thing from there. So, and then you get a confirmation. Once this closes, they will, see, I have no confirmations because they haven't done it yet. But once if I get something, if I'm randomly selected, then I will get something I will get an email and then something in the confirmation, and then I will just head over to that area and be able to get it. I haven't ever done an exclusive thing, so I'm not exactly sure if they scan your badge or if you have to print out the code. I'll find out, you know, next week when it closes and I find out what I'm doing. So this is the other thing that you do within the exclusives portal, is that you can buy and pre-order your Comic-Con t-shirt and merch. I've already placed my order, so I can't show you how the order process looks and how it all goes. But this is basically, you would click on the merch tab, it would open up this, you can scroll down, and then it will have a button at the very bottom. Because I am a volunteer, it's showing me this volunteer exclusive merch, but at the very, very bottom, it has a thing that says purchase Comic-Con exclusive merch. Now, if I click on that, it just takes me to a copy of my receipt, and then but otherwise it would take you to the merch page. You would select what you want and the sizes you want. You pay for it, and then it's going to give you a receipt that's going to have a, oh, I forgot the term, or the codes, like the scan code that you take in, and you would hand it to them. They're going to scan it, bring out your merchandise to you, and then you can either buy more stuff there, or you can just go take your stuff and go. I always recommend, if you absolutely can, pre-ordering everything that you can. Some stuff, because this is the 50, some stuff has already sold out. And I, like, for example, one of the things that I bought, I didn't get quite the size I wanted. I got like a size down or two. I'm hoping it'll still fit. We'll find out when I get it. I don't order, every year they do a special cloisonne pin. This year they're doing 4. You automatically get one in your box with your badge. But it's randomized, so you could end up with the one that has the Comic-Con eye and the 50 on it. You could end up with one that looks like the Golden State Comic-Con, which is the California state, and then it's got some other designs. One is the 50th logo, and I'm having trouble remembering what the 4th one is. I think the 4th one's probably a toucan, but I can't remember. Anyway, I don't ever buy those. I don't ever order them here. I buy them at the convention. Mostly because I don't get my box until I get to the convention, so I don't know what I'm going to get. And I don't want to pre-order and end up with something I don't really want. Like, I want them all, but I don't want, like, there's some that I want more than others. Like, I really want the Comic-Con anniversary one, and I really want the Comic-Con 50, the eye with the 50 on it. The other ones I want to have them, but I don't want to, to complete the collection, but I don't necessarily want, like, if I ended up with, like, 3 of the eye or 3 of the 50, I wouldn't have a problem, but I don't really want to end up with 3 of the Golden State Comic-Con one, because I really just want it for collecting. So it's a lot easier for me to see what I get in my box and then go and get all of my stuff for merch, which is what I will do again this year. Alright, so here we are back out on the front page. As you can see, it's back to doing its cycling thing. Because I've been looking at this for a couple of minutes, I did find out that the other pin is the toucan. And this, I'm going to show you some of the other stuff that you need to get familiar with on this website. So as you can see here, we have the Comic-Con Museum, the Toucan blog, WonderCon, and Comic-Con. All of the Comic-Con subsidiaries up at the front. We're going to go over to the Comic-Con page. And on the Comic-Con page, you will always get this banner, which will have more or less whatever the next coming show is. It's not 100% perfect, like a couple days after Comic-Con it's still going to show 2019, but it updates fairly regularly. Now, this is where it's going to show every single update all throughout the year. And you can notice that there are some decent sized gaps in between some of these things. But as we start getting closer to the convention, it's going to start being like a daily update every day. And you'll notice that the last couple of days, the only thing that they've been updating is the schedule. Which isn't the only thing that they've been doing, because I think on the 4th they did something else in addition to the schedule. But I can't remember what it was. It's just wasn't as important, I guess. So now you can go over here and just get the full schedule, which I really recommend. As I mentioned earlier, it is just super important to kind of go through this schedule And you can definitely go to the con and pick up the program guide there and look at all the additions and stuff, and definitely just play it by ear. Given the fact that Comic-Con has gotten really large and the lines are stupid long for just about everything, all these questions, stuff like this, this one's really good. No flash photography. The rooms are all really dark and you'll just blind everybody, so it's a big pain in the butt not to do it. And just in general, try not to be a pain to other people, which is basically, like, their photography stuff, all their photography rules are basically just, you know, don't be a dick. And, but anyway, as we get down here. So the reason I recommend scheduling, in addition to the super long lines to go to just about everything, is just being able to somewhat plan everything out. It's never 100% perfect. You cannot schedule Comic-Con to a T, because it just doesn't work like that. But if you know, but what you can do in doing this is note that, what's a good example? Teaching with comics in an interactive workspace for educators. Now, that is at the San Diego Central Library, and I kind of thought that it would, which is why I chose it. But because it's at the Central Library, that's not on site. That's actually, I want to say 4 or 5 blocks away, give or take. If that's the first thing that you have planned on Wednesday, that's for preview night. That's Wednesday, 4 o'clock. So in theory, preview night opens about 5, 6, so you could make that. But let's say that this program is first thing on Thursday, and you really want to go to this one because you're a teacher and you believe in comic books and education. I definitely do. I'm not a teacher, but I definitely believe in comic books and education. And that's a story for another day. But that's panel, let's say it runs from, it's at the library and it runs from 10 to 11. And you want to go see a panel you also want to go see a panel that's at 11 o'clock in the convention center. Honestly, the time it's going to take you with traffic, with stops, lights, all that stuff to get those 4 blocks to the convention center, you will have missed almost all of that panel because they're only around 45 minutes long, and you'd be showing up probably a half hour late. So even if you could get in, you're only going to get a couple minutes of the panel. And if the panel is busy and it's packed, you're not going to get in at all. So it's stuff like that. It's stuff recognizing that because this panel goes, oh, it's 2 hours. So because this panel goes till 6, I am probably not going to make this panel, which is at the convention center, you know, basically at the same time. The panel that comes after it is going to be, it's in Ballroom 20, it's a Comic-Con, you know, Rooster Teeth, these are all really popular things. So my guess is that it's going to be fairly packed. So yeah, you're probably not going to be able to do both. And that's what looking at the schedule really allows you to do, is kind of figure out, well, I really want to do this one thing, but I also really want to do this one thing, and if I do this, I won't be able to get over to this other thing in time. It also allows you to kind of gauge where your friends are going to be at certain points. There's a Supernatural panel on Sunday, I believe. 2 of my friends, yeah, they're right off. I'm not going to see them at all on Sunday because they will be in line for that Supernatural panel. And if nothing else, I won't see them for that hour that they're going to be at the Supernatural panel. So it's stuff like that. My friends know that the Masquerade is my thing, and so there's no getting a hold of me Saturday afternoon. There's just no point. same thing, I go to the DC Animated every year. Yeah, I can guarantee you I'm not going to make dinner plans on Friday night because that's where I'm going to be on Friday night. So it's stuff like that, and knowing kind of where everybody's going to be. It also, if you have friends that aren't super into doing this, or it's their first time, this can also be, going through can also be really interesting, because I can come across a panel, and let's see where it is. I believe it's 10 o'clock. Yeah. So I have a friend who's really into doing film and wants to get into the film industry. So Comic-Con Film School 101. The second I saw that, I suggested it to him. I was like, yeah, you need to go to this. And then, so it's stuff like that. And it's also knowing that, you know, where you're going to be, where other people are going to be. I would also say the website is the best place to come and get your information about the different panels, and about the times, because things change. They change really quickly. So most panel people know about their panels like a good month in advance, but Comic-Con doesn't publish them until about a week to 2 weeks in advance. And that's just in case something happens. For example, I can't think of anybody based on the ones that are in front, but let's just say that somebody creates something and it goes super viral and it becomes very big, and initially they had put them and their project in room 2, which is kind of small, and now it's super big and they need to put them in a bigger room because otherwise they're going to have traffic congestion and a bunch of people trying to get into this little room. If they know that, 3 weeks out, well, now they have to kind of redo the entire schedule and update things. Also, there is kind of a well-known incident where Resumed, who was in he was in Rebel 1, and he was recently supposed to be, well, not recently, it was a couple months ago, but he was supposed to be at Star Wars Celebration, and TSA wouldn't let him on the flight because he was Muslim and of a certain skin color, which is not cool. Anyway, he couldn't get out there because he couldn't get on the flight to get out there. This has happened, people have told me this has happened at Comic-Con. I don't ever remember it happening, which doesn't mean that it didn't, it just means that I didn't track it on my radar at the time. So if something like that happens, maybe, I don't know, let's say Unreal Gaming has somebody really important and they can't put on that panel without this person. For whatever reason, this person couldn't get out there, then they're going to have to cancel that. And they may slot somebody else in it. They may just leave the room empty for that hour. So that's where the website and definitely the app, Comic-Con does have an app. They're the best places to check. There is also a daily guide every day that you can go and grab that has all that information as well, as up to date as it possibly can be, because it is printed the night before. So that's why I recommend kind of looking at this stuff and also making alternative plans. If I can't get into Unreal Gaming, I might go to Lord of Light, George R.R. Martin thing. I might. I love Game of Thrones and George R.R. Martin, but I might go to that panel, I might not. But, it's making that trade, and kind of seeing how bad you want stuff. So I really recommend scheduling everything out. And just taking a look at what there is. Back when I used to volunteer in the programming department, I ended up sitting through a bunch of panels that I really wasn't interested in, because my job was to sit and monitor these panels. But I also ended up in panels, I occasionally ended up in panels where I never would have gone to it, but found the subject really interesting. I ended up in a Jim Butcher panel and found him really amazing and interesting in the way his mind worked and what he wrote, and that got me into reading the Dresden series, and all of that. So I really do recommend, maybe taking a look at something that you normally wouldn't. Maybe you're only in there 10 minutes and you decide that it's really awful, or maybe you're in there the whole time because you found it really amazing. So, just something to keep in mind. Really quick, so this video isn't too long, some of the other things that you're going to find up here are awards, past events, so on and so forth, redeem, refund. You can find jobs at WonderCon, or working for Comic-Con, they're few and far between. So, the other things, in addition, it's not, I don't think a lot of these are up yet, but you'll be able to find the anime film schedule on here, the film festival information, games, masquerades. There's just the programs and guests just have a bunch of information as well. Getting here gives you all the traffic information. I'll do a separate video on that in the future. The souvenir restaurants, stuff like that. Now, I do want to point out, I recommend giving blood. It's very important if you can do it. Sadly, because of some health issues, I've had to stop giving blood, but I used to do it every year for Comic-Con. Usually, it's over here. Apparel and merchandise. That's what I wanted to show you. So, even if you can always come here once the apparel and merchandise goes up and take a look at what they'll be doing for the year. And this is the general stuff that anybody with a badge can buy. My favorite has got to be this one because it's like a concert tee, and I absolutely love the idea of a Comic-Con 50 concert tee. And stuff like that. The hoodie, this one is going to be a hot thing. I can just tell you now, it's going to be really hot. It's a limited edition tech hoodie. It's already sold out on the Comic-Con website. So if you're at Comic-Con and you weren't able to get it in the merch booth, you can definitely get it at the booth here, Heroes Within, or Hero Within. But they're gonna sell out. It's so popular, it's crazy popular. So, bags, and here are all the pins. Yeah, just amazing. The water bottle. I totally got the water bottle because I had to have it. And the book. There's so that I'm not sure if they just keep reprinting these books or if they just printed a ton 10 years ago and they have a ton left over. But it's a really cool book. I have two. I'm not a big fan of the tikis, even though it's the toucan, but he kind of looks like a vulture here to me, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, and it tells you where to get everything. So, expect long lines. My number one tip for Comic-Con, expect long lines. There will be lines for everything. One of the other things that I also recommend is looking at the convention policy, deaf and disabled services. I'm going to do a whole video, a whole feature on them because I have to deal with them this year. Not deal, I don't mean that like in a negative, but like normally they're not something I have to go to, but since I broke my ankle, they will totally be my friends this year. Press information, all this stuff, everything that you could possibly need is pretty much here. The only things that I don't find, that I have never really found, there's all the exclusive merch and signing stuff. The only thing I've ever found that I'm not super in love with, and the Toucan blog does a decent enough job with it, is really kind of giving you the tips. But Comic-Con changes from year to year, so that can be really difficult. And I don't know. I like the Toucan blog well enough. I just, it doesn't, because I guess because I've gone for so long, it just doesn't do a whole lot for me. But it is really useful tips and information. I do recommend checking them out. And then, yeah, keep contact with the website and with the app, because things are going to be changing. There's going to be a lot of information coming out because this is Comic-Con's 50th anniversary. So that's pretty much everything that I'm going to cover today. I will definitely have more videos coming out and maybe more exploration of the website. But with all things like the website, I do recommend just getting on there and kind of playing with it. There is a lot of information and a lot to explore, but there's also a lot of good information, a lot of good stuff to explore that is really important. The more knowledge that you kind of go into Comic-Con with, the better I think you are, and the better prepared you are for things. So anyway, just take a look, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Like, subscribe, share, please share, and I will see you in the next one.